The lights dimmed slightly as Mila Kunis walked onto the set of The Tonight Show, her signature smile lighting up the audience who erupted in cheers. Jimmy Fallon, ever the enthusiastic host, jumped up from his desk to greet her with a hug, but there was an undercurrent of tension that only those in the know could sense. Mila had been promoting her latest film, a gritty drama that delved into controversial topics, and rumors had swirled online about her strong opinions clashing with mainstream media norms. As they settled into the plush couches, Jimmy started with light banter, asking about her family life with Ashton Kutcher and their kids, but Mila steered the conversation toward deeper waters, expressing frustration with Hollywood's double standards. The audience laughed nervously at first, but Jimmy tried to pivot back to fun games and clips. Mila, however, wasn't having it. She called out what she perceived as insincere celebrity interviews, accusing shows like this of avoiding real issues. Jimmy's face flushed a bit, his usual goofy grin faltering as he attempted to joke it off, but Mila pressed on, recounting a personal anecdote about being typecast and undervalued as an actress. The band played a subtle cue to cut to commercial, but the exchange had already heated up, with Mila's voice rising just enough to make the producers sweat backstage. Whispers among the crew suggested this wasn't going as planned, and security lingered closer to the stage wings. Jimmy, trying to regain control, asked about her upcoming projects, but Mila interjected with a pointed remark about late-night hosts pandering to sponsors rather than fostering genuine dialogue. The crowd was split as some cheered her boldness, others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. As the segment progressed, Mila didn't hold back, critiquing the entertainment industry's treatment of women and minorities, drawing parallels to her own experiences. Jimmy countered with a light-hearted quip, but it landed flat, escalating the awkwardness. Viewers at home would later dissect every micro-expression, but in the moment, it felt like a powder keg. Mila's passion was evident, her eyes flashing with determination as she refused to be steered into safer topics. The interview, meant to be a promotional fluff piece, had morphed into a raw confrontation, leaving everyone on edge. By the time the first commercial break loomed, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken conflict, setting the stage for what would become an unforgettable meltdown. Coming back from the break, the energy in the studio had shifted palpably, with the audience murmuring in anticipation of more fireworks. Jimmy Fallon, regaining his composure, launched into a planned game segment involving silly props and challenges, hoping to diffuse the earlier tension. Mila Kunis, however, seemed even more fired up, her body language screaming defiance as she reluctantly participated. She tossed a prop ball with more force than necessary, commenting sharply on how such games trivialized serious artists. Jimmy laughed it off at first, but his responses grew shorter, his eyes darting to the control booth for cues. Mila didn't stop there. She brought up past controversies involving Jimmy and other celebrities, questioning the authenticity of his apologies and the show's role in perpetuating drama for ratings. The audience gasped audibly, some applauding her candor while others booed softly. Backstage, producers were in a frenzy, debating whether to cut the segment short or let it play out for the viral potential. Jimmy tried to stir back with a clip from Mila's movie, but she interrupted, accusing him of not watching it fully and just skimming notes from his writers. The clash intensified as personal barbs flew, Jimmy defending his hosting style as entertaining, Mila retorting that it was superficial and harmful. Security personnel edged closer, their radios crackling with urgent instructions. The bandleader, Questlove, exchanged worried glances with the musicians, ready to play over any escalating arguments. Mila's voice carried a mix of anger and disappointment, her Ukrainian roots influencing her no-nonsense approach to calling out hypocrisy. Jimmy, usually unflappable, started to show cracks, his voice rising in defense of his show's legacy. The exchange turned heated, with Mila standing up at one point to emphasize her points, gesturing animatedly. The crowd was riveted, phones out recording despite the no-filming policy. As the segment dragged on, it became clear this wasn't just a lively interview but a full-blown confrontation. Producers signaled for another break, but not before Mila dropped a bombshell accusation about behind-the-scenes manipulations in late-night TV. The studio fell into a stunned silence momentarily, broken only by scattered applause and whispers. This pivotal moment would later be replayed endlessly on social media, marking the beginning of the end for Mila's appearance that night. As the show resumed after the tense break, Jimmy Fallon attempted to reset the vibe with a musical guest introduction, but Mila Kunis wasn't done expressing her views. She interjected during the transition, questioning why certain topics were off-limits on national TV while others were exploited for laughs. Jimmy, now visibly frustrated, shot back with a comment about guests respecting the format, which only fueled Mila's fire. She leaned forward, her tone sharp as she detailed instances where she felt marginalized in the industry, drawing parallels to Jimmy's own privileged position. The audience was divided, with cheers and jeers creating a cacophony that drowned out the band's attempts to smooth things over. Producers huddled in the control room, weighing the risks of continuing versus pulling the plug. Mila pressed on, criticizing the show's sponsor ties and how they influenced content, accusing Jimmy of being a puppet to corporate interests. He defended himself vehemently, citing his years of hard work and the joy he brought to viewers. The back and forth grew more personal, with Mila referencing old interviews where Jimmy had made off-color jokes, and him countering with her own past controversies. Security moved in closer, their presence a silent warning. The camera operators struggled to keep composed shots as the energy spiked. Questlove tried to interject with humor from the bandstand, but it fell flat amid the intensity. Mila's passion was infectious to some, alienating to others, as she advocated for more substantive conversations in entertainment. Jimmy, feeling cornered, raised his voice uncharacteristically, demanding respect for his platform. The clash reached a boiling point when Mila stood up again, refusing to sit until her points were acknowledged. Whispers of cut to commercial echoed through headsets, but the live broadcast captured every raw moment. Viewers at home tweeted furiously, hashtags trending in real time. The producers finally intervened subtly, signaling for a wrap-up, but not before Mila landed a final verbal blow about authenticity in Hollywood. Jimmy's face was a mask of barely contained anger, his usual charm evaporated. This segment would be dissected by media outlets for weeks, highlighting the rare vulnerability of a polished late-night show. As the confrontation simmered, the inevitable decision loomed whether to let Mila finish or escort her off the set. The atmosphere in the studio thickened like a storm cloud as the interview veered further off-script. Mila Kunis, undeterred by the mounting pressure, continued to challenge Jimmy Fallon on issues ranging from gender inequality to the superficiality of celebrity culture. Jimmy, trying to salvage the segment, suggested a fun anecdote from her career, but Mila dismissed it as irrelevant, insisting on discussing real-world impacts of media portrayals. The audience reactions were mixed, gasps, claps, and uneasy laughter filling the air. Backstage, executive producers paced nervously, phones buzzing with calls from network higher-ups demanding control. Security guards positioned themselves at the stage edges, ready for any escalation. Mila's eloquence shone through her frustration, articulating points with precision that made Jimmy's deflections seem weak. He attempted humor to lighten the mood, but each joke backfired, amplifying the tension. The band played filler music during lulls, but it couldn't mask the underlying conflict. Mila brought up specific examples of past guests who were allowed controversial rants without repercussions, questioning the double standard applied to her. Jimmy retorted that the show was about entertainment, not debates, but his words rang hollow amid the intensity. Cameras captured close-ups of their face as hers determined, his trained. Social media exploded with live commentary, fans divided between supporting Mila's bravery and defending Jimmy's hosting. Producers whispered urgently into earpieces, debating an early end to the appearance. Mila refused to back down, her voice steady as she critiqued the entire late-night format for prioritizing ratings over substance. Jimmy, pushed to his limit, interrupted her mid-sentence, a move that drew boos from parts of the crowd. The exchange turned chaotic, with overlapping voices and gestures. Questlove signaled the band to prepare for a cut, but the damage was done. Finally, a producer's voice in Jimmy's ear prompted him to announce a sudden break, but Mila's parting shot about integrity echoed loudly. As the lights signaled commercial, off-camera discussions heated up, leading to the fateful decision. Security approached discreetly, informing Mila that her segment was over prematurely. She protested vehemently, but the show's protocol kicked in, escorting her off amid stunned silence from the audience. This dramatic exit would fuel headlines and debates for months, cementing the clash as a legendary TV moment. In the aftermath of the abrupt interruption, the studio buzzed with confusion as Mila Kunis was led away from the set by security, her protests audible even as the commercial rolled. Jimmy Fallon, left alone on stage, composed himself quickly, cracking a self-deprecating joke upon return to ease the audience's discomfort. Backstage, Mila argued with producers, demanding an explanation for being kicked off what she called a censored platform. Word spread rapidly through the crew, with some sympathizing with her stance while others viewed it as disruptive. The network's legal team monitored social media reactions, where clips of the clash went viral, amassing millions of views overnight. Commentators debated whether Mila's boldness was empowering or unprofessional, with celebrities chiming in on both sides. Jimmy addressed the incident briefly in the next segment, downplaying it as a passionate discussion gone awry, but his unease was palpable. Mila, once outside, took to her own social channels, posting a statement about the importance of unfiltered voices in media. The Tonight Show's ratings spiked from the controversy, ironically boosting its visibility. Analysts pointed out how such clashes highlighted deeper fissures in entertainment journalism. Mila's fans rallied in support, organizing online campaigns against perceived suppression. Jimmy's team worked damage control, emphasizing his welcoming nature toward all guests. The event sparked broader conversations about guest-host dynamics and the limits of live TV. Months later, retrospectives would frame it as a turning point for more authentic interviews. Mila's career, far from suffering, saw a surge in offers for roles requiring strong, outspoken characters. Jimmy reflected in interviews about learning from the experience, vowing to handle future tensions better. The clash became fodder for parodies on other shows, immortalizing the moment in pop culture. Security footage leaks added fuel, showing the heated backstage exchange. Ultimately, the incident underscored the fragility of polished TV facades when confronted with raw honesty. Mila emerged as a symbol of defiance, while Jimmy's show adapted subtly to incorporate more depth. The ripple effects extended to industry standards, prompting discussions on guest vetting and topic boundaries. This unforgettable night redefined boundaries in late-night television, leaving a lasting legacy. Years after the infamous clash, the story of Mila Kunis being kicked off The Tonight Show continued to resonate in Hollywood lore, often cited in panels about media freedom and celebrity interactions. Mila herself looked back on it with no regrets, crediting the moment for empowering her to speak out more on social issues. Jimmy Fallon, in memoirs and podcasts, admitted the encounter taught him valuable lessons in empathy and adaptability as a host. The audience members present that night shared stories online, describing the electric tension and sudden escort as surreal. Network executives implemented new protocols for handling volatile guests, aiming to prevent similar spectacles. Social media algorithms kept the clips circulating, introducing new generations to the drama. Mila's film career flourished, with directors seeking her for roles embodying strength and conviction. Jimmy's show evolved, incorporating segments that allowed deeper dives into guests' passions. The incident inspired satirical sketches and even a short film recreating the events. Critics analyzed it as a clash of Arasa old-school entertainment versus modern authenticity. Mila and Jimmy eventually reconciled publicly at an award show, sharing a laugh that closed the chapter amicably. The broader impact influenced other late-night hosts to foster more open dialogues. Fan theories abounded about behind-the-scenes influences, from sponsors to personal grudges. Documentaries dissected the footage, frame by frame, highlighting nonverbal cues. Mila used the platform gained to advocate for causes like women's rights and immigrant stories. Jimmy donated to related charities, turning negativity into positive action. The event's anniversary saw renewed interest, with specials revisiting the night. In retrospect, it humanized both stars, showing vulnerabilities beneath the glamour. The Tonight Show's legacy endured, but with a notch of notoriety from that fateful episode. Mila's boldness inspired aspiring actors to stand their ground. Jimmy's resilience reinforced his status as a beloved figure. Ultimately, The heated clash transformed from scandal to a catalyst for change, proving that even in entertainment, confrontation can lead to growth and understanding. The story lives on as a testament to the power of unscripted moments in a scripted world.